got the houseboat built. He put the house on it and what have you, and I don't think it was complete. And when I don't know how
Say
long.
who's he?
Dad, we'd never finished it, and we got the barge, and then it was towed from Flamingo to Naples with a boat called the North Star. That was his fishing boat. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So the original houseboat was built in Flamingo, but the barge was
Built in Flamingo. The barge was.
the
I
new
don't
barge,
know.
not
The
the
new
old
barge.
barge.
I don't know where it was built.
Because I had note that the old barge was built in like 1930 something.
It could be Albert Mills probably, and I
Albert
don't know
Mills.
where he was living in the Keys then and moved to Flamingo, or was he living in? I don't know. See, I wasn't old enough to.
We're only 3, yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't even born when they built it. So.
So Muffy, the original barge was not in good shape. So his dad built a new barge in 1940,
Yeah.
and then bought the house part off the old barge, and because the barge was deteriorating.
Oh.
Not the houseboat, but the
And
barge
we
was.
slid this on there and put the floor, and redone the house. I guess this looked big to me back then, but it's awful small.
Well, you haven't had the full tour,
I come in here with Mr. Royalty one time.
Oh, I love him. He's still doing okay.
Is he?
Yeah, he's having, his real
Well, he's got to be
struggles.
old too.
He is getting pretty old. He must be 90, I
He's
think.
close to it, 'cause I know he was older than I was.
Yeah.
And I'm 80.
You're 80. Woo! My husband said, man, I look as good as he does.
I do.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. And so we towed, and that's before the beginning of the war, but they had a Coast Guard, and they was volunteers that guarded the coast. Anyway, they left Flamingo, and I remember we getting stopped at Everglades City, and Mom and Dad, they took them off the houseboat. They had to go into Everglades City and be identified.
Ah.
And I still have the old picture of Mom there. They cut her face, her top torso part out for the identification, and I've got the rest of the picture.
Oh, I would love if you could get us those pictures, copies of those.
We
Well, tell the little side story to Grandma on that.
Yeah,
That's
well,
pretty cute.
yeah, well, she couldn't go. She had to get dressed, and she had her nylons back then, silk stockings, and she got them on, and standing on the boat, getting ready to get on the boat with them to go in the Everglades, and a pompano skipped and hit her on the leg and cut the stockings open. And she wasn't happy, because back then that kind of stuff was to them it was expensive.
Oh, sure.
And so they went in, and then we towed. We come on to Naples, come through up the channel there, and I just remember being on the boat, and we was towing the houseboat and there was a couple skivs behind with chickens in it and rabbits and whatever, and you come into town, And we towed in, and the first place we stopped when we got to Naples was at Bayview Park.
Oh, okay.
There used to be an oyster bar with mangroves on it and stuff, and that's where we put backed the skivs up, and the chickens got out and fed around on the oyster bar in the oyster shell. And we swam there, and the water was clear back then. Even though it was brackish, it was clear. And
Which is interesting.
yeah. I think we stayed there a night or so, and then the next day Dad come up and he put the barge close to the shore and built a walkway off of across. You know where Bill Higgs had that property in there, in the basin in there, across from Boathaven?
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
there, where all the boats is at now? Well, that was 3 islands there, one for 41 that went across, and then you had, and it went out, and there's a little creek went through, and then there was another little island, and there was another little creek, and then there was an oyster bar with some mangrove stuff, and that was actually 3 little islands there before it all got built.
Islands.
What did it do? Go from south to north?
Yeah, all north, and they built the road went across on the big part.
On the north,
So-
northmost.
How
Yeah,
many
where
of
it
you
is
are
now.
traveling with this right now? So there had to be 5,
Well,
7
Archie,
kids, and
let's see, Archie, there was Mom and Dad, and then there would have been Ralph and Nick.
Ralph and Nick. What about Mary?
And no, Marion was, I don't remember Mary. She, I think, was gone somewhere. She was
Winifred,
old enough,
Tommy.
Yes.
and then we had Wynn, Tommy, Barbara, and
You.
myself. Yeah.
So that's total of 8.
8, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've looked at this. I've been in here before and wondered where did we slept? There was bunk beds in the 2 back rooms, and Mom and Dad, I think, slept in this one. And then there was a screen porch on the back, and there was a bed out there that we used.
Oh, okay.
And a bathroom back on the corner back.
Yeah, you'll see it all still there.
Yeah. And you know what I've been thinking about this? I wanted to call and tell you I'm in town and I'd talk to you instead of trying to do something over without seeing you.
I was so excited when you said
Well,
that.
you know what, Don Brown, I didn't recognize that.
Litchfield, I should have said
I still
Litchfield.
Litchfield, yeah. And when you said, oh, okay, I
We
remember
met.
her from out.
East Naples days.
When you in a business management?
Money management.
Money
yeah.
management,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember you would come to a meeting or something other than laid out finance or something. I remember.
Guest
Oh.
speaker.
Guest speaker somewhere.
Yeah,
and
she's
I
done a
can't-
lot of that.
Yeah, I can't remember where though, but I remember.
Either,
Yeah.
probably at Windstar. No, or is it before that?
It was before that.
Yeah, it was before
it was
that.
a long time
Something
ago.
to do when we were trying to pull East Naples together, I think.
Oh,
Right,
I
yeah.
know what it was when the Rookery Bay, it wasn't Rookery
Yeah,
Bay,
it had
but it
some-
was the Save the Bay program.
Save
with
the Bay
Jean-
programs or
remember
something.
Jean Marie
other
was in
way.
it?
Sable Bay.
Sable
Sable Bay,
Bay.
yeah.
It was Sable Bay.
Yep.
Yeah, and it got built anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it differently, but yeah. it did.
Differently, but
Yeah.
and you know, I think, in my opinion, it would have been better off with the plans that they had. But we won't get on that one now. So, but we lived in between the 2 bridges there. We went up on the edge of the bank, and Dad, anchored the houseboat out, and that's where we lived the first, I don't know, a year and a half or so. And he went to the Naples company and bought where the marina was at down on 10th Street. He bought a half a block of land, and he wanted waterfront. Well, when they surveyed it, it wasn't on the water. So he said, "Well, I'll swap you." They said, "No, we don't want the swamp back. So we'll sell you more." And so he bought the next block, and we held a sale option on that until that, and bought the last piece in 1955, the whole bayfront.
Next block and then the whole bayfront.
Yeah.
55.
And then it was all mangroves. There was no filled land on the west side of the bay at that time. And then when they come in to dredge the channel, Dad hired the dredging company and paid them to pump spoil. But before that, the barge hurricane, the 44 hurricane, 1944 hurricane hit.
44.
Yeah, 1944 hurricane hit, and the houseboat was on the shoreline, and we had a path cut through the mangroves and stuff. Well, it floated the houseboat up in the woods, and it had been partially cleared, and so Dad just jacked it up level and left it there. And then eventually, over years, he built a house onto it, 2 more bedrooms, a big living room, and a porch. And
Oh, so this is a piece of a bigger house.
Well,
You built a house around it.
No, we built a house on the end of it, and then he took this, and he moved this houseboat back. He moved it back and built a new kitchen and dining room and all of that on the end, and added onto the original house he built. I have pictures of all of these here in stages.
Yeah, that would be fascinating.
Okay, so 1944, blew up on land. He built another house around it.
He added a house to it,
Yep.
but not right away, I don't think. We lived in this for a while, and then they built one, and then he built a breezeway from this one to the other house, and we lived in it for a while. And
But Grandma used the kitchen in this house, and
this
the
house here.
houseboat, because wasn't the kitchen, dining, bathroom the last thing you built onto the house after
Right,
you
yeah.
moved
After we
the
moved
after
moved the
house?
houseboat away, after we moved it away.
And I think we still have the original sink. We put it out because we just replaced the whole
Oh,
thing.
okay.
But I think we still have that.
It's an old metal sink,
Yep.
a metal cabinet.
Yeah, I'll
Yep.
show it to you. The
I'll be
cabinet is gone because that was all rusted.
It
out.
rusted out,
But
imagine.
the sink is still in place.
Yeah. I remember that. I don't know where Dad got that from, and we had propane gas that we used. Yeah.
Some of the people that want to buy it want the sink, but I just wish we didn't have to sell it.
You know,
Here's the sink. Oh, you can't hardly see it, Sam.
I know, I took it on mine.
Huh?
I took it on mine.
Okay, good, because that's not really good. Okay, so Pildebree way between the two places.
two places we lived in for a while, and then I think he moved the houseboat back in the early 50s and built a new kitchen and dining room and onto the new house he had built. And then he moved this back, and it sat there, and then he, one of the workers rented it for a while and lived in it.
Mom had the name. What was the name?
Jack Ray.
Jack Ray?
Yeah,
And
he
his
lived
wife.
in it for a while.
R-A-E, I think, probably?
Huh?
R-A-E or
No,
R-A-Y?
R-A-Y.
R-A-Y.
Because wasn't it Larry Ray, the insurance guy?
No, this guy was from Sarasota or Bradenton.
Hey, Gil. This is Gil, Muffy's husband.
Oh, hi.
And this
Yeah, how you
is
doing?
Duke and his
Carol.
daughter,
I'm
Barbara,
Duke
and
Turner,
Carol.
off of the-
Carol.
You're 26.
26, yeah.
You cross-eyed old pot licker, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
We
thank
take,
you, Gil. How
is
you
it
doing?
knee deep yet?
Yeah, well, we're going to get a shovel to get out.
All right, there you go. Does that look familiar?
Well, you know, I can't.
It's okay.
You know,
listen,
I was
just-
a kid.
Yeah,
As
it's
long
awful big.
as long as there was food coming out of the kitchen, that's what.
She
Yeah.
probably didn't allow you in there anyways.
Yeah, and it,
I'm
Oh,
his
I'm sorry to
daughter.
hear that.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
and so after he moved the houseboat back and built onto the other house, then he give this or sold it to a fellow by the name of Alvin Burke, and I believe he owned these lots up here, and he was had bulldozers, drag lines and stuff, and he was Alvin Burke. I think he done the field work at Imperial Shores or Oyster Bay. I forget which. I know he done some work over there. And Dad sold it to him, and he took and put it on transport and moved it up here.
What year was that?
It had to be in the
That's a picture I have.
about in the 50s. Yeah.
So I think, well, the picture's 1961.
Yeah.
But
it was moved here, and I don't know
before
where
Hurricane Donna, do you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Before Donna. Yeah.
So it was moved here in the 50s.
50. I'm trying to think. I graduated in 1955 from high school, and I'm trying to think, was the house still there or it got moved about that time?
Look at this, see if I.
When Les was born, was it still on the property? Do
You
you
know,
remember?
Carol, I can't remember so much what's going on. I'm not. Okay, we had the dredge.
Where did you live when you and Mom got married?
I lived at home. Yeah, I lived in the house there. Mom and Dad was up in Georgia, and we lived there for a few months until I built the little house out there in
Kelly Road.
Kelly Road.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, they had to change it though. We
Oh,
got
I
it.
know.
Oh, I
know.
remember
And
that.
you know where Kelly come from?
No.
He was a man that was part owner or worked at the Naples company. I think I have deeds and stuff with it. He even signed somewhere.
Change
Copy,
that.
you know. But you know well, Kelly Red don't sound too hot, you know.
Why not? I mean, it's history.
Well,
history.
it is. Apparently, they were trying to.
Oh,
clean
yeah,
up the-
upgrade, yeah.
Yeah,
when
we
what's
got
called,
out.
when-
We got to
Windermere
upgrade
came
us
No,
to
Windstar.
deplorables out there.
Yeah,
When Windstar came in, they
we
didn't want to
changed
be
it.
on
Yeah.
Kelly Road. That
Yeah.
sounded very
There's the original.
derogatory.
This was August 1961. That picture you got in your hand.
Oh,
That's.
I got to ask you something. How did you get a hold of my cell number?
I don't know. I called somebody.
Did Gina have it?
I'm not sure. I tracked it down somehow, and then I called an old number, and that wasn't right. And then I'm not sure how I got it. Maybe John Turner gave it to me.
Oh, that would be John.
Yeah,
he's
Young
got my
John.
number.
Full time.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, John.
Northern Georgia,
Yeah.
Raven County, I like
Yes.
that area.
Yes, so this
Yeah.
is another one. It was a Christmas card used. It's the same picture.
Oh,
Somebody
okay.
put it on a Christmas card.
Yeah, okay.
Might have been Mr. Burke.
Can I see a picture of it for a sec? I'll show it. Put it on here.
Okay, Caesar's grading.
Well, he's
Yeah.
got a lot more. And this is a historical society letter.
And
You can-
what's the Historical Society say?
Well, this one said, okay, it says, This letter in regards to the Collier County Historical and Archaeological Preservation Board's interest in nominating the above referenced structure as historic. As you may be aware, the structure is locally significant since it is one of the few barges left from the construction of the overseas highways in the Keys. This barge was salvaged and converted into a residence on the subject site in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Many would like to see this barge residence designated as a historical landmark so that it may be recognized for its place in our local history. We need to put the necessary plans in motion for this designation. This designation is an official endorsement by the owners. I am summarizing here portions of the Collier County Land Development Code regarding the effect of historical designation. As you will note, most of the provisions have to do with buildings, therefore this barge residence could benefit from many of these provisions as noted below. And the things are financial assistance, tax credits, building code, repairs and alterations may be made without conformance to requirements of the standard building code, zoning ordinance, certificates and appropriateness and appeal. What it doesn't say is they want it.
Yeah, yeah, they want somebody else to preserve it probably.
Yes.
But I thought about it one time and then I moved and then we had given it some thought about. And I had some land off of Kelly Road out there and then I sold all of it. I don't own anything here anymore.
Right.
Yeah, but
So the 50s, you think
yeah,
this came
I'm
here in
gonna
the
say,
50s?
let's see, I'm gonna say it got moved here and did we still? I'm
Want me to go
thinking,
ask Mom?
Yeah.
Ask her, was it still there when her and I got married?
Okay.
And that would be in '55.
I remember what you were telling about your property on 26. You just flagged where you wanted it.
I cut 2 palmetto fronds, stuck them in the ground, and Eddie Frank had it surveyed, and I bought it from Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
See, now, and I thought when it was originally built, I had, and this was actually from you, 1939. But that's when I thought your dad built the barge to go under it.
It could have been, but it seemed like to me, it could have been late '39 or early '40. He was building it
Yeah, and
because
then,
he was all, Dad was a boat builder and a commercial fisherman.
but the original barge, I think, was built in 1923.
I would say 20. It had to be, and I understand Albert Mills may have had it, and they may have worked on the down in the Keys, and they had houseboats down there that they lived on, working on the overseas highway.
So, wait a minute, Albert Mills or Albert, I have Albert Belts.
No, Mills. Albert
I
Mills.
misunderstood. And Betty and Alma, who are they? They said they helped build the house.
Well, no, James Mills had a daughter named Alma and Betty.
Who does? James, the Millses?
Albert Mills' son James,
Okay,
he had and I went to school with Betty and Alma.
that's probably who it is.
And then he had another son, Estel Mills, and he come to Naples. And he tied up on the shoreline next to our fish house, and then he bought a lot there. Okay, you know where our boatyard was at? You know where the big storage building's at now? And there's an alley up there?
Yeah.
Between there and 8th Avenue, off of 8th Avenue back to that alley. I don't know what's there anymore.
Don't either, do you?
Dawn, but it used to be a Christmas shop in there, and there was a beauty shop in there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the middle of that is a houseboat.
Really?
No.
There is. There's a houseboat in the middle of that, and it belonged to Estel Mills.
Houseboat in the
Oh,
middle.
is that where Tori's is?
Right.
Yeah.
Tories, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a houseboat in the middle of that.
Really? Oh yeah, because it has a lot
And
of
I
funny
have,
levels in
I
it.
think I have a picture of that houseboat sitting there before he was building it.
Huh.
Oh, I'm just seeing you right now.
Memories.
Yo, how
days.
you been doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Yeah, I missed you. Remember when our dog walked into your kitchen that
Okay,
time?
that was,
Yeah, that's
who
right.
owned-
Yeah,
who owned
right.
That? That was with Estel.
And
Estel?
she made herself right home. She walked out of the yard
Yeah.
and walked down to his
Yeah.
house and walked in the kitchen back door, and all of a sudden you heard a jingle. There's a dog down there. Well, who are you?
Yeah, my house over there, that was all nature. I finally got on
Yeah.
the city and
Well, I
told
know
them.
you got PO'd about them doing this. You let all
Well,
the nature.
telling me no, I didn't get. They told me I had to keep everything mowed one hand. I told them it was a habitat, and they'll leave me the hell alone.
What'd she say?
She seems to remember that when you were living at Grandma and Granddaddy's house,
The house
at-
was.
the houseboat was still there, cause she remembers the fellow that got blew up by the tire.
Yeah, well, they got blew up by a 55-gallon drum. That was
Oh,
why he got blew up with the
Blew
tire.
up, and they had, she said the people in the houseboat had a small child.
Yeah, Jack Ray.
Okay.
it-
So in 55, the house was still on the property
so,
down there.
So it had to be moved in, say, late 55, 56 or something.
56 or 7. I'll put.
Is there alcohol involved with that drum?
No, there wasn't. It was Chris involved. And
Oh.
this guy went there and we told him, don't use it to work on a drum, and he stuck it in
Oh,
there. And it blew up, and it blew Chris out under his skin, on his arm and his face.
Ooh.
And they finally took Fort Myers up there, and they finally sanded his skin off and everything, and had all the skin and stuff to get rid of that Chris out.
Now that's a story.
And I was there, and I saw what he was doing, and I went to running.
Oh, I'll bet.
Me and my nephew, and we were
bet.
hollering, don't do it, and he
Did it anyway.
Did it anyway.
Wow.
You can't fix stupid.
no, you can't.
Steep learning curve.
So,
So,
Can't grind it up either, apparently.
okay,
so then it got here.
it got here, and
How did it get here?
Alvin Burke brought it on a transport.
Okay.
Low
He
boy?
used to want Alvin Burke.
No, on a low boy?
Oh, wait a
On a
minute.
little
Alvin,
boy, yeah, because he had
Alvin Burke.
bulldozers and drag lines.
Okay, all right.
And he loaded it up, I remember, and it's not that wide really.
No, it's not that wide.
And
It was
now
wider.
also
Yeah,
on
wide, sure.
on the outside
then
of
traffic
this
wasn't an issue.
was a
No, the
walkway
house
all the
was
way
wide.
around
Oh,
this.
was it?
It was out about
Really?
yeah, there was a walkway and it had a picket thing,
Rail.
a ramp around all the way around it, and the roof overhung that, and we used to set the water drum
Wow.
rain barrels underneath that, and when we was down there and catch the rainwater.
I still catch rainwater, yeah.
Yeah, but they stuck out about that far past the side of the house. The roof did, and the walkway.
On both
I've got
sides.
pictures of it like that.
Oh, cool.
Oh, these pictures would be awesome.
Now you're gonna have to give me a little bit of time to get you some pictures back,
Okay.
because I ain't going back for another week or so.
All right.
And take me a little bit of time. But I do. See, I hate sending them, send them Facebook or email. They don't always turn out.
And I don't know how to do that anyway, so.
Well, I can send them to you, but then you got to figure out how to download them.
Oh, you can send them to me and I can download them.
Yeah.
Okay.
What-
But sometimes they don't
Just
turn
give me
out
that
good either.
information, I'll make sure we get it.
But I'll.
What do you want? Which one do you want to use?
So which city do you live in?
We live in,
well,
we live in
mail
Tiger,
to me
but
at
it's just a
multi-colored
four-way
deal at
stop.
Mac.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
But
remember that.
Clayton is our
Yeah,
biggest
yeah.
town.
But what I'll do is, if you give me a little bit of time,
We're
and
about
I'll sort the
10
pictures
miles
out.
out of town.
Mac.com?
Going towards Lake.
And if I have to
Lake
mail them to
Burton.
you,
Oh,
we
just
can make
off of
copies
Lake
and send
Burton. We
them
don't
back.
live on the lake. We-
Okay.
Oh, Duke, let me ask you a question. Do you know some of the history on the house across the street?
I'm not.
Yeah,
Yours or your
you know,
neighbor's?
when they came
Mine.
from Fort Myers, our house with the red
No,
car.
that's the wrong house. I know Lila and Shepherd used to live.
He said he might mail them and send them
Yeah.
back, so
Okay.
it's a 1006?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me an address to send them to.
Yeah.
Yes, send them to
Okay,
me.
because those were originally Army housing, and then they went to Naples Hotel, then
Yeah.
Beach Club
Yeah,
for housing,
Barbara
employee
did
housing,
that.
and got moved up here.
yeah,
So, yeah.
There's a
They
town
were originally up
beach.
at Page Field. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, Carol, right?
Yes,
Army
yes.
yeah, and
Really mess things up.
but it'll take me a little bit of time to sort the pictures. I've got 10,000 pictures.
Oh,
Okay,
my.
I have one other thing I want to ask you about, because they're doing, we have a big lake of water here all the time.
Right, yeah.
And what I remember from the guy next to me, he said that this has never been a flooding area. It was Ridge Street, because it was one of the highest points in
Yeah.
Naples, hence High Point. And when they built here, there used to be a lake here. Down the street?
That was they dug fill dirt out of it. And
They
all
dug
built.
fill dirt out of it, and they
Yeah,
didn't put the right drainage in or something.
There is no
Well,
drainage.
that old pond used to be a frog pond, we call it.
Yeah.
And it's always been low in there behind Thurners in there, and then they dug over here, and they filled some around that lake with that.
But they're right now trying to, we're now in a flood zone for insurance.
Quote, flood zone.
Yeah.
I told them if it ever flooded on 26, just forget about downtown, because
Yeah.
it would be 14 feet underwater.
Exactly,
Right, so
'cause we're about
we're-
13 on 26.
I think I'm 14 foot 7 inches.
Oh, you are? Okay, all right, yeah, I think you're a little higher.
Because I had to have mine started.
Okay,
What's yours?
now, Oh.
What's your flood elevation?
Oh, I don't
this
hear
is
now.
at
I
the
don't know,
old
but the old
house.
house is
Oh,
like
okay.
13.
So, well, anyway, let me
Oh,
finish this. Gil,
Duke.
Gil, hold on, please.
Oh, all right.
So, I'm just trying to figure, because we're having a big neighborhood meeting about they're gonna put in all city sewer,
Yeah.
and then they're supposed to fix the drainage.
Yeah.
And I'm basically saying, this is not something we should be paying for, you made this mess, the drainage.
Well,
The drainage issue is something that was never done right, the drainage, I
The
think
storm drain.
Gary
the
told me
storm
that
drain.
the storm
Well, see,
drain was blocked.
It used to be everything went to the railroad ditch.
Uh-huh,
And then we get engineers in and then they gonna make water run uphill. Just the same as they done over on 26, they was putting all this drainage in, and hell, they was forgetting about down at the phone station, that's where it flooded. And you can't make that
Oh,
water
yeah, it
run
was always
uphill.
Oh, I
bad.
know, I
Yeah.
know, yeah.
10th Street was horrible through there when
Yeah.
it rained.
Well, I remember that real well.
Yeah.
10th Street off of 26th.
Okay. Duke, what's the
Ah.
difference between you, the Turners, and the Thurners? Is there any difference? Because
They're
I hear.
Turners and we're Turners.
Okay, they were using them interchangeably, and I thought Turners and Thurners were separate.
They
Okay.
are,
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
there's Carl, Hugo, and Hermie.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Okay.
The three,
There's
the
some
three.
memories.
They were scary. They were scary.
Well, now Carl is the one that had he owned all this, and Eddie Frank and
Right.
Rudy Frank owned
Right.
all of that.
Right.
And
I remember
and
Gary's
they're
last name.
and the Franks, but
Patterson.
the Thurners
My
was
neighbor,
Carl was married to
Patterson.
Claire,
Okay.
and then he had two brothers that never married that I knew of, and one was Hermie and the other was Hugo.
Okay.
And
Yeah, they were pieces
and they
of
had a
work.
bicycle, and they put their beer and their wine or whatever.
Bottles. Lots of bottles.
Lots of bottles.
Lots
Yes.
of bottles. The
Because
bottles and cans was holding the house up.
Their house was located just north of Caribbean Gardens.
Okay.
It's probably about where
Where
the
the bank
road
building's
is.
at.
The bank building.
Oh, right there,
Or maybe
okay.
a little
Right in that-
south.
Right. Yeah.
And we would walk the railroad track, so the road wasn't there, so we went to Lake
Sure.
Park
Oh,
School,
yeah.
so we walked the railroad tracks to school.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the afternoons when we came home,
Yeah.
we would cut through Caribbean Gardens, and if we had a
Sure.
dime, we'd get a soda. And talk to the parrots, and then we would
Yeah,
get a
then
drink
you-
of water,
Right.
come
Then you
back
go by
out.
the other house. Oh yeah. The
And
old
those-
house is back there
And
too.
the old guys would be sitting on the front porch, hitting the bottle,
Well,
and,
they never give up on them.
and they would, either yell at us or whatever. And I mean, we were spooked. We were kids,
Yeah.
or we'd hear the bikes coming up behind us, rattling bottles in the
Oh.
basket, and then we would haul butt home.
Oh lordy.
Wow. Wow.
See, there was Caribbean Gardens, if you went straight on Flashman Boulevard over to the gardens,
Yeah.
just as you crossed over in there where that pond's at,
Right.
and there, around the Townses used to live there, and then the next house down, the Cannons lived there, and then the next house down, Russell Lucky lived down the road, and the Wingates lived there just on the south side of where the 7-Eleven or
Yeah,
whatever
because
it is. there.
remember Golden Gate never didn't have
Never
a job.
went through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
before,
well,
yeah.
So I'm just, one reason I'm really happy that you're here is because we just had an offer on this place, and I turned it down. But I would love it if the historical society would just buy this piece, not just this place, but because
Buy
this
the
is
piece of land.
buy
too.
the whole piece of
Uh-huh.
land, because right now I can rent this out. You're gonna die when I tell you this. In the season for $1,000 a week,
What?
That'll give them heart palpitations.
Yeah.
$1,000 a week.
Yeah.
You should take a walk through. By the
Yeah,
way,
I
take
was
them
gonna
through.
say,
Will you
Carol,
please?
I'm gonna, okay.
Carol, I want
Let
you
me
to
just go
walk.
check on Mom.
Okay, then
Okay.
come walk
Is she
through.
in the car?
Yes.
Okay. Oh.